Jake asked a good question, and it's interesting sometimes in the comments section of anything you'll see people start to say how old they are and wonder, how am I to get over this? So there is a little bit of age in this question, but let's listen to this. I'm a 42-year-old male doing what you suggest at this age, which is to get as strong as I can. Yeah, I think that's great advice between 35 and 55. That is your health span insurance policy. I know that for the next phase of my life, around a decade from now, you recommend focusing more on hypertrophy. I would like your advice, insight on the following. How rapidly did your own personal strength decline once you hit 50 plus years? Was it something steep or linear, gradual, or whatever? Well, the hardest thing for me, my friend, is that, I compete as an Olympic lifter, Jake, so I can actually see it in my results. I have a piece of paper in here that Dave Turner put together for me, and it's kind of a cool list. He has all my Utah State weightlifting records. So every time I ever broke a state record, and you'll see when I first started competing here in the state in '80, my numbers are good, and then in the late '80s, early '90s, my numbers were really good. And then. I got to tell you, if there was a line in the sand for my strength declining, let's say I would have turned 50 in 2007 is when I turned 50, huh? And in 2007, I was just off some of the best years I ever had in my throwing career. 2007, 2008, I still was a pretty good force in Highland Games. 2009, 2010, I really started to get that symptoms from that pistol grip hip I have. And then I had to get that, the two hip replacements because of a genetic condition called pistol grip hips, but I look at my lifting numbers in those workouts in my early 50s, and then a decade later, 2017. And I wouldn't say it's a steep decline. Jim Schmitz has the best. He's our old Sports Pals head Olympic coach, and he was head of our Olympic teams for a long time. He says that masters weightlifting is a farewell tour, and you snatch a weight, the crowd claps, and then you say farewell because you'll never see that lift again. There's some truth to that. I would like to say for me it was gradual as I look, because I have to look through it from your question from the prism of 17 years. So even though when I look at my journals, it is not steep, but when I look in here inside my head, it feels like it was it was just right off a cliff. It is gradual. I do think there's real value in keeping journals and stuff so you can keep an eye on things. But there are certain things I pretty much know I just don't have the ability to do ever again. And it's not bad or good. It's just the truth. Then the other questions. What advice would you give regarding pure strength maintenance after transitioning to more hypertrophy-based work later in life? For example, how often would you suggest I implement a strength-focused program or test my max lifts? Okay, so let's answer that question. Well, this brings me back to this concept I have called park bench and bus bench training. I would suggest that, probably about 8 months of the year, you should just do general training and enjoy it. The other 4 months of the year, you can I usually think about 8 weeks is about all most people can do. Put yourself in a minor peaking program, a little program, a 2-month, and then test your strength in these. So, you're going to go 4 months of just, you go to the gym, you work all your body parts, you do the exercises you love, your reps, your sets, your loads are appropriate. You go for walks, you get your sleep in. And then after about 4 months of that, you say, okay, these next 2 months, I want to test myself in 8 weeks on, your own personal challenge, the Jake decathlon or something, and come up with, I don't know, anywhere from 2 to 10 lifts that you just want to test yourself on, and make a program that, leaves you fresh and hungry and ready to go and test yourself. The day that test is over, the next time you go to the gym, you're back to all that fun general training stuff. Basically, that's how I do it. If you see me train certain times of the year, I snatch, I clean and jerk, I front squat, and I press, and I walk, and I don't do anything else. An Olympic lifting meet comes by, you come to the gym the next week, and I'll be doing suspension training stuff, I'll be doing kettlebells, I'll be doing some kind of bodybuilding press workout, I'll be, playing around with some ideas with Mike, lots of hip thrusts or whatever it is. That's how I think you should do it. Now, over time, you might want to shift over to, because of your, the way that things work, if you do 10 months of just general stuff and 2 months of focus, that's fine. But I would keep an eye on kind of over chasing either side. I like the idea of 4 months of just general training, but if you feel like cutting that back and even up the year, that's your call, and I'm fine with that too. Our last question here. Lastly, what percentage of pure strength from one's peak should we aim or expect to keep as the decades go, assuming good health? The research from the German studies of the 50s and 40s, published in English in 1961, The Physiology of Strength, brilliant book. It shows that a person who trains versus an untrained person, they both go through and have the same basic decline as the years start to trend after, anywhere. And it's hard because some people it's 35 and others it's 55. But, you can start to see that drop. When I talk to people, like I've got two good friends who still lift weights in their 90s, Dick and Merrill. And Merrill will be, he was just completely honest with me the other day. And I got to tell you, he was kind of sad about it. Merrill's 91. And he goes, I just can't get over the amount of maintenance I have to do for my body every day. And I thought to myself, okay, so he spends a lot of time doing floor exercises and mobility and flexibility exercises. He swims. He uses machines for circuit training. But his point is important to make sure you hear, is he also has to do with just a lot of general maintenance work. My thought is what I'm trying to do, so I'm decades younger than him. I'm 67, he's 91. I'm already taking his advice. By the way, it's really important, I think, to listen to successful older people in all areas of life. You'll be surprised what kind of people you don't see at the senior center. You can make some bad choices, and it's really hard to overcome that. So that's why I'm really extending and expanding the amount of original strength I do every day. I sauna and do seated original strength, and then I go over there on those. I have mats down the hall here, and I do a whole bunch there. Between sets of my lifting, I do original strength and mobility work. And for me, I know you asked about strength, but I think if you take care of your mobility, you keep an eye on your flexibility. You keep an eye on obviously your heart health, your dental health, hearing, your sleep quality. I think we call it sleep hygiene now. What you're putting in your gut, what's coming out of you. If you keep an eye on those things and you make relatively good decisions, and whenever I say something like that, I should add the two words "for me." So. For you, Jake, when you're thinking about your dietary interventions, you might say, well, for me, this is what I think is a healthy diet. This is what makes me feel good, move good, good. When I give advice, I have to remind myself what I think of as a healthy diet is what I think of as a healthy diet for me, my family, my athletes. Not everyone listening has that same you don't have the same toolkit I have for cooking or shopping. You don't have I don't know. I have to be careful because what I think of as a normal meal makes some people go, "What are you doing?" Very often for breakfast, I'll have scrambled eggs, kimchi, yogurt with this overnight oats with lots of seeds I make, and I make a smoothie with vanilla protein and lots of berries. Well, when people see the kimchi, they always go, "Ugh." But for me and a whole bunch of people on the planet, kimchi just is wonderful. So take care of those things more than you get. First off, keep an eye on your sleep, keep an eye, wear your seatbelt, all that stuff. Keep an eye on those things because it's a lot easier for you to catch cancer earlier than later. It's going to be a lot easier for you to not slide into type 2 diabetes if you can control it, with diet and exercise. You'll be a lot happier to, take care of your hearing loss earlier than later if these are issues. When it comes to strength, you are going to decline, but I got to tell you, Charles Euster, he was a competitive bodybuilder. He died a few years ago, but even into his late 90s, he was still sprinting and bodybuilding. And I think you're, it's doubtful in your 90s you're going to compete at the Division I college level sprints, but it doesn't mean you can't be on the track. And so the thing is, I don't really have numbers, but what I do have is this: take care of those boring, go to the dentist 3 times a year, go to the eye doctor once a year, get a full general checkup once a year, including blood tests. And if you haven't, do it. Because before, it's like that discussion this shows up a lot. In the comments the last few months, it showed up about you should, improve your VO2 max. Again, I agree, it's a great idea. So what is your VO2 max? Well, I don't know. Then why are we talking about improving something you don't know? I don't mean, just go down the list. There's so many things that happen that we don't measure first. There is a test that a lot of people use for VO2 max. It comes from Ken Cooper, who gave us the word aerobics. And it's, you go to the track and how far can you go run in 12 minutes? Well, I coach high school. And if I took my PE class out to the track and I said, okay, I'm going to see how far you can all run in 12 minutes. First off, I'd probably get 300 parent calls. And then I would say half the student body couldn't run without stopping for 12 minutes. A lot of them would dog it. A lot of them would cheat. If I can't get teenagers to run 12 minutes, how am I supposed to get untrained 60-year-olds to run 12 minutes? So I think we have to be careful about all these things. Take care of yourself, even by just asking this question. I think you're going to be okay. And good luck to you. I like this. I made a commitment to dance at my granddaughter's weddings, and I've got another my daughter Kelly's going to have another baby here soon. And so for me, as much as I'd love to keep throwing those big weights over my head, I also have other things I want to be around for. So go to the dentist, I go to the doctor, I do all these things, and I keep an eye on all kinds of stuff. But I also think what's going to keep me around long enough for those weddings and those dancing is I'm going to keep striving to stay as strong as I can, as long as I can. Thank you.